So what we want to do is have a conversation that takes a deep dive into creativity and mental health. All right. So me and Wandering know each other. How did we meet? Was it Clapper?
Yeah, it was Clapper.
We met on the Clapper app. I saw this guy drawing with two hands, and I was like, finally, somebody else who does that.
Right? Yeah, when I found out you did it, I was like, sweet.
Hell yeah. And you're also like an inventor and a creative, a multifaceted creative, which I'm also like a tech artist and an inventor. And
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things with you too, was going like inspiring me with some of your art and some of the stuff. I was like, oh hell yes.
yeah,
Like somebody that was humble, that expressed themselves, kind of understood the what it's like and why we're doing it of art, not just this is what I do because it's pretty.
what do you think creativity is?
Self-fulfillment of sorts, I think, is my knee-jerk reaction. It Creativity is like this self-fulfillment for me of being able to translate something like a feeling or an object that can be used to describe something or to take somebody's mind off something.
I think
Oftentimes
for me,
mine. Sorry.
it's like finding your ability to pull from all your experiences, regardless of whatever compartmentalized circumstance you're in. It's like to be creative, you adapt, improvise, and overcome, like the Marines, right?
Right?
You take everything you know, all of it, and you pull from that like your palette, like your experiences are the colors you have to work with.
Yeah, big time there. Like you do, you draw on that experience and some of the stuff and go, all right, and welcome in.
I feel like creativity is applicable in every industry, you know? Like people don't often think of the postman as being creative, like a creative job.
Right.
But if you think about it, like there's got to be some kind of um, rhyme or reason, some creative solution to designing the routes they go on, for example.
Yeah. Welcome in, everybody. We're doing a discussion. Going to start a podcast on healing, creativity, how that can transfer into people's lives and how it's helped ours. So thanks for joining. This is also the beginning of a podcast, so this will be compressed later. We'll take any shares. Katie here, amazing artist, friend, mentor, and guiding principle in my life. And we'll both take a subscribe. If nothing else, welcome in.
Thanks for joining us.
She's also an ambidextrous, simultaneous artist. And so, Arian, thank you for getting the chat rolling down there. How's your day? Happy, what is it, Monday, y'all? Happy Monday.
Nice to meet you too, man.
Do we have any fellow artists down there in the chat? And we're kind of going over, what drives us, what compels us to art. Podcast to be a lot of, yeah, as well as tutorials, some of how to do this, and that'll be coming later. Today we're kind of collabing, talking, jiving, and getting a few things to sort through.
Yeah, like I think of coding as really creative work. People think
Yeah,
of mathematical things as not being creative, but they are.
Yeah.
I
Well, and
mean, when
creativity
you,
in the workplace too. I mean, coding
hmm
is part of the workplace. People, I think, forget that's what makes all these apps work. J Dog, hello.
hi, welcome.
Yeah, welcome in. We're brainstorming, chatting, gonna do a podcast. Clearly arting myself. Thanks for being here for it.
How has creative worked?
HHW.
Hey, how has creative work helped you process past trauma?
Hmm. That one was big because I never had a way to show people how I feel until I learned art. And once I learned how to art, then it was I can actually show people how I feel, be it an expression or some way of just communicating, going, look, this is the confusion I went through, or look, this. Thanks. This is my get down. I draw with two hands. I try to read the chat at the same time and talk. Turn these into crazy mind bending illusions, and a coloring book will be coming soon. Part of it's to mesmerize your brain and get you to go, what is going on? Yeah, definitely some practice. Lots of practice. You can do anything you put your mind to. Quantum. How's this? How do you do this? Put your mind to it. Practice. Don't give up. Sometimes the problem isn't always the way it seemed. Yeah.
I remember a painting I did right after a breakup. It's called Valentine, and it's a woman on her knees, like arching her back, and there's an arrow going through her heart, and you can see through her chest and see the arrow piercing her heart, like Cupid's arrow. Like, this is what love feels like.
Yeah.
So, like, I turned all that pain into a painting.
The Buddha. Attachment is suffering.
Yeah. Do you
But
use art as a coping mechanism?
big time. Yeah. Since I learned art, I've had to use my other coping tools less. Yeah, I detach less. A lot more connection.
I've always like, and just the other day, I went to goth night with my friend, and both of us are kind of insecure in social situations, and we kind of always need something to do. So we brought our tablets with us, and we sat there drawing in the bar, while we were dressed up for goth night, listening to the music and jamming. We were both sketching. It was fun, but like even that, just having a thing you can create on, like some kind of palette for your brain.
It
I remember when I
for
was a kid, my dad pulled me out of the summer art school I was in and made me go on this trip to Las Vegas, which should have been fun, but wasn't. He took my sketchbook away from me. He didn't like that I was stopping everywhere to sketch what I was seeing. He wanted me
oh
to
no.
be social and participate and not be drawing all isolated. Like, it's not like you can't talk to me while I'm drawing.
right?
So I was traumatized when I didn't have my sketchbook because I had no way to communicate my thoughts.
Well, kind of like that art book from earlier that we were going over, where it says go back and look at some of those things. Look at like what stole your joy from some of it, or what that's what strikes me up about that one. And for me, I can relate to events that happen too. I've been thinking about that since we heard it. And to answer your question, TIG welding, a lot of other things you can dual hand. So try it and do it just for yourself. That's the HHW. No, I would have expressed myself a lot more, I think, if in art, if people hadn't kind of criticized what I was doing in different times, or that parental control aspect where it was like, no, you can't do that right now. This is, it was like, but you're putting a parameter on when I express myself with what I want to do.
It's interesting. The next question is, can creativity be a substitute for traditional therapy? It definitely complements it.
Yeah.
I would say
They,
yes.
well, I don't think, I think it could supplement once you're at a certain position. But if you were to supplement the entire process with just art, I think you'd have to start young enough with a balanced enough environment. I don't think just art or expression alone, because I think that without boundaries,
Yeah, I guess you're right. Like in traditional therapy, you learn what a boundary even is. Like I didn't even know what a boundary was. I never had them. And it
yeah,
was really difficult. Like I found it really challenging to conceptualize a boundary. I pictured myself in a bubble and I didn't like it.
yeah, yeah. Saying yes, saying no to me was a hard thing to be able to do, and deciding the right moments and for the right reason. Therapy in some ways did teach me that, or communicating with others, and then how to abide by them, you know, how like I'd put myself in a situation or something else where I could induce a feeling, or negative traits I'd do. Once I stopped doing those, I don't think art would have taken that. I think it would have put my art in a different position.
Yeah.
I think it could be a very useful tool alongside, but it's the same as like I think art can all be almost become like a spiritual attribute of expression too. So, not saying it can replace spirituality, but I think you can also put an aspect in it that you appreciate what was created by whatever did it more.
Hmm.
I look at, if I go to try to paint a landscape or draw a mountainscape or whatever it was, I know it was thousands of years in creation, tens of thousands, but a sunset, whether it be a higher power, divine, or just atmospheric, whatever it is, I have so much respect for whatever it is that creates that art. And then trying to replicate it, I end up with so much more respect too, going, wow. Like, for
And
me, I do believe it's a dude upstairs and some cosmic force beyond just science, but I believe science is involved too.
it's a very creative and challenging exercise to figure out how to translate a dimensional, multidimensional experience, more than two dimensions. And then there's the emotional dimension, and the thought dimension. How do you translate these metaphysical things into something, some visual two dimensional representation of that? How do you communicate?
Yeah. Yeah, and then the blending of the colors and all the stuff that just fits together so damn perfectly, and you're like, but it just does.
What's a personal experience where your creativity pulled you through a hard time?
Pretty much every day. I mean, if I go through it, like I get frustrated and I'm like, let's art or let's create something. Or if I get, it's become one of those staples of instead of doing so many grounding techniques, I'll literally go draw for 10 minutes, get your mind off shit. Like the drawing with two hands thing. The reason I love to do it the most is when I'm doing it, it's hard to be thinking about everything else in the world. When you actually pick up and occupy both sides of your brain with something, it's kind of like getting a massage for a minute where drawing with two hands it keeps my squirrels from running around. So every day it does. Like in a
Yeah, and
moment,
then watching the news is like running a psychological marathon.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, the news I finally had to take with a grain of salt and go, okay, I can pick what I'm gonna friggin' watch. If I don't want to watch it, like, oh, here's a selfless plug. They have a thing called the Good News Network.com. You can go to a place and find the good news that happened in the world. Like, sometimes I just choose not to buy into their other bullshit. I don't want to know today. So I read the good news. I read about some Somalian tree frog that's starting to become less extinct or
Yeah, I like to focus on solutions, not
hmm
masturbate problems.
mentally masturbating your problems is huge.
I know.
It's not fun, it's not healthy, it's not good for you, but we
Unless
do
you're
it.
doing it in a creative way, right? Where it's like a mental masturbation because you're obsessed with the thought, but you're translating it creatively. So you're really processing.
Yep. Yeah. Well, then it becomes though expression. I think when you start to do that, and then it becomes expression, not just, and it's no longer just stuck in the brain. Yeah. When it becomes action, and then you get that, oof, you don't have to worry about it.
I had this painting of a guy crawling up the stairs. And the stairs were made out of sky, and the stairs went up into a sun that had a brain inside of it, and it went into infinite space. And the man was nude, and he was pulling himself out of a grave and pulling himself with his feet turning into roots in the ground that was full of decomposition and trash and garbage. And he was pulling himself into this stairway to heaven. But the model was my ex husband. And I wasn't finished with the painting when I had to get divorced. I remember when I finished that painting, I was in tears as I painted the last pieces of his foot and the last pieces of his flesh, just mourning that love, that lost love,
Yeah.
and really needing that painting to get sold. So I don't even have to look at my ex, even the back of his head anymore.
Right. I've had those where I just gotta like I'm like this feeling it has to come out and it has to come out in this canvas in this expression.
I have a lot of drawings I used to make where I would just doodle and I didn't know what I was going to draw. I just let something come out. Now I feel like I don't know how to do that anymore. Like I'm always judging it before I make the first stroke and composing it in my head and really trying to see it first instead of just exploring what comes out.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
I like to think, what's the worst I'm gonna do? Fuck up a canvas or a piece of paper? Oh no.
Canvases get expensive, but you can always paint over them.
Exactly. Yeah, go round two with a little bit of gesso or, the next coat.
Sand it off, try again.
Uh-huh. Worst case, flip it over, restretch it. I mean,
How do you push through creative blocks when you're uninspired?
oh, when I'm what? We have critters. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for the taps, the loves, and likes. Really appreciate it for the follows.
My brother got home. I wanted to ask you how you push through creative blocks when you're uninspired or you're just not feeling it, you're mentally exhausted.
I'll swap to a new page, and then whatever it is I'm feeling, I'll draw it. Like if I'm feeling blah, and like I'm feeling constructive, so something with squares and the illusion of. But if I'm feeling blah, I end up doing a lot of the weird staircases, or I guess I push through it. And then if I'm in a full on art block, I refrain from having anything with an expectation. I will do something completely random, or even if it comes down to like a little coloring book, one of the dollar store coloring books, grab one of those and morph it out, or just make some weird faces and let the kids color it. Just something to kind of go, fuck it. I'm going to get that feeling out. I'm done. That and an old Beatles song with a little help from my friends. I'll go
Yeah.
in, talk to a couple of y'all, zap a little positive energy out of you, and kind of use that as my inspiration. Take the
I
time,
find
draw
that
somebody when they're down.
the practice of morning pages from the artist way, where it's just writing, stream of consciousness, dumping all your shit out, that's what helps me. Because it usually leads me to a vision, that I can then use creatively and paint or something. There's some kind of magic that happens when you find your words. When even between you and yourself, you're able to articulate your feelings and your thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that combination of the feelings and the thoughts, and when you articulate those into a visual representation, some of my favorite art, I think, is when just simply the title gives it away, or when I hear a title and I'm able to see it in the art, kind of relate to what they put across. Yeah, where my soul kind of connects and goes, I feel that picture. I feel and see what you did there.
There's a lot to be said for being seen, and especially for being seen for who you really are, not, your well behaved facade.
Yeah, yeah, not your church face, as I call it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Not the cardboard version of you, but you.
Uh huh.
Do you have rituals or habits that help kickstart your creative process?
uh, Burning sage. Must burn sage, or the spirits will eat me. Like, I'm not right if I haven't burned sage or lavender. in the morning and done my prayer because I've promised tons of people that I would pray for them over the years. And they go in a prayer box, and then I pray for the people in the prayer box and I write their names down. And then when that list gets full, I burn the list and I put the ashes of that paper with their names on it back in there. That way, I'm always praying for the lists of people, so I'm not lying when I say I'll pray for them. I've got ashes in there from 10 years ago. So it was a way for me to say, I'll pray for you and keep it honest. Even after I forgot who or what, the universe keeps track of that. So that would be literally my rituals. Once I cleanse that, then I can move on. What about you? Do you have one you start your day with?
I don't. I'm trying to develop that. I started going through the artist way and doing the morning pages. And I've really struggled to do it, but I managed to do it this morning. For some reason, if I'm writing, like she says to longhand, you're never going to read it again, I can't think of anything to say. But if I start it as a Facebook post, you can't shut me up.
Hey,
So I don't always share it on Facebook unless it's worth sharing, but I'll write my morning pages, I'll type them out as a Facebook post, and then take it and copy it, put it somewhere else. If I don't want to share it, or set it to only friends or only me if I do want to share it.
right. Yeah, that was kind of a challenge I think I'd like to try to do is try to do something with writing once a day, put poetry into words, sort
Yeah.
some of those things out. So if I do a coloring book, I also have, I guess everything I do too is with intention of possibly using in the future. That always the next step in the puzzle, and if I can do part of it now, might as well.
I think my dog needs to go potty. Hold on. I'll be right back.
No worries. And welcome in, people. We're kind of chit chatting, chilling. Gonna start a podcast, doing the artist way, which is a really cool book I just discovered today because of Katie. Quick moment of downtime. Any of y'all out there watching, do you art? Take a comment if you do. And if you do, what kind? Do you draw? Do you cook? Sing? Many different types of art, not just drawing or visual arts. Being kind, that's an art.
I'm back.
Right on.
The next topic is balancing self care with discipline. How do you tell When to push forward and keep working and versus like when you need to rest. How do you know when to rest?
Huh. I guess I had to learn that one over years. One of my
I
favorite British
don't.
proverbs. You know,
I don't know when to rest. And I have terrible self discipline.
self-care and wellness, right? That I mean, I did a lot of hard years on my body and on myself, and then it became like depression. I'd get waves of depression and different things, and I noticed it partially it was my pattern or sleep patterns or always feeling tired. So then structure it to where I'm giving my body what statistically it should have, which is about 8 hours or 7.5 hours, sometimes six, but not too many in a row. And it became discipline of I wake up at 5:30 to 5:45 in the morning, 6 o'clock at the absolute latest. Normally circadian rhythm takes care of it, but allowing myself to sleep in, but pretty much putting my own rules and boundaries in my own life gave me a control that then gave me that semblance of that. So finding balance became I eat when I'm hungry and I sleep when I'm tired, but I also have to shut it off and say, okay, I have to allow myself to go to sleep or else I'm no good tomorrow. So learning to meditate at night and just go to sleep, finding that peace and shutting all that shit off. But that was kind of a multi-year task too. So it wasn't just like one day I was like, poof, I found the key to going to sleep. I had to build those blocks.
I'm not good at sleeping. You've
Yeah.
probably noticed.
Yeah, maybe once or twice.
You're usually
You've been in the prayer
asleep,
bowl for
but
sleep.
yeah, yeah, I don't sleep a lot. I don't know why. Sometimes if I get 3 hours or 4 hours, I can feel totally rested. Sometimes I can't sleep for 3 days, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's to me, I like that good sleep where I do feel fully rested because that doesn't always happen. Like this week alone, I had a few nights where other things stole some of my peace in my dreams and just moments or I get light sleepy over other problems, but that good sleep, that's where shit's at.
Yeah, that good sleep. That good sleep where you can feel your brain bathing in all those chemicals and getting reset.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You walk up refreshed and washed off, psychologically washed.
Yep.
I just realized like I used to have a ritual where as soon as I woke up, I would write down what I could remember about my dreams. I had a really cool dream journal. I don't know what happened to it. I probably left it at a friend's house or something.
Yeah, I probably should have kept one of those. That might be what I need to do sometimes in the mornings with my journal thing. Track that sleep journal part. See, and then like for me, I'll just get this moment of going, okay, shift. I think I feel a new picture coming on.
Dreams are a crazy source of inspiration for me.
Yeah, I
I
wish I could
illustrated my
paint.
dreams. I'd have some fucked up paintings, man.
If I could paint what I could paint in my dreams, I'd have some brilliant art.
Yeah, same here.
That's why I'd love to learn to do that VR thing where You actually create VR art, 360 camera, but do it virtually.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Just paint in the air, pick your color, draw with it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Someday,
Right?
someday soon, actually.
I know with the way Oculus and some of these, I was just reading up on some of it too and how they're doing it, going,
So the next question is asking us, when have we struggled with feeling like a fraud in our creative work?
When do I struggle with being when I try to do something somebody else has done a million times, or when I don't accept I'm going to put my own flair to it and make it my perception of that object.
Yeah, I remember
Like,
one time I was painting live on stage for a bunch of jazz musicians who were doing a live show. I was the entertainment. So were they, obviously, but I was like I was part of the show because I was live painting, and I had voices that were so loud in my head telling me terrible things. Just I had my back to the audience, so I couldn't see how many people were watching. And the voices in my head were saying things like, everybody can see you're a fraud.
oh,
Everybody knows you're a hack. You suck at this. Nobody can tell who you're painting. I was doing a portrait. So, and the voices continued, and I just kept working, even though I was hearing this. I felt no confidence at all. I just kept trying my best. And one of the musicians came up and named who I was painting, and I knew it was like it made the voices shut the fuck up.
oh.
It was like this relief, like, oh, you can tell who I'm painting. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that critical inner voice, yo. Like, of all the things, that's probably one of the hardest ones I fight. That was just to me, just being brave enough to do it. Like, drawing on Wagon Train in front of a bunch of people and not being sure how they're going to take it. And then trying the same at Burning Man and having people just hella compliment, kind of the same as doing it on TikTok or here or anywhere, where it was like them inspired me to that one person or that two people would inspire me to like keep doing it.
I struggle with compliments. I get them
Yeah.
all the time, and I never believe the compliment. I'm always like, no, it's not. I
Yeah.
learned to just say thank you and not like because when you argue with someone about their opinion, it's actually quite rude. You know, when it's
Yeah.
about art, anyway. That's really good. No, it's not. I didn't blah 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 blah. Like just say thank you, bitch.
I know. Yeah, I had to like chat GPT a conversation about that, asking it like literally what is the statistical chance that people are gonna just inflate your ego and tell you your art's good or they like you? Like literally verbalize those words and
Actually, you'll find that if people like you, they like anything you create, except
yeah.
music. That's not true with music.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be like, I love my friend, but I can't stand his music, right?
Right?
Art's not really like that because think about how many people hang their children's artwork on the fridge.
Yeah.
You're like proud your kid had this thought and you're getting to see it, the evidence of their inner world. It's a beautiful thing. And when
Uh-huh.
you love someone, you have a tendency to appreciate, at the very least, appreciate what they create, right?
Yeah, big time.
If you
Well, if
really love someone and you really love what they create and you have the money, the sweet trio, then you make a sale, man.
right. Yeah, and it's accepting they do for both. It isn't just the one or the other.
In The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, he says that, let me see if I can get it right. Is that a brain fart? Like I just spaced. It'll come back to me. How do you handle external validation or lack thereof? I think that's pretty much what we were just talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Self-validation, that's the big one for me is like you've accepted you're going to be an artist. You want to be an artist. They're telling you you're going to be a decent artist, but validating it with myself going, "Okay, we're going to do that." Well, that's part
Are
of
you
today's
able,
actions.
can you say, can you identify as an artist yet?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, that one hit me when a couple of months ago somebody was like, "So are you a professional artist?" And I said, "Yes." It was kind of like I had that one moment of hesitation going, "The fuck you are." But then it was like, "Yes, yes I am."
I don't know if you're aware, but I recently had to deal with feeling offended by a client and then offending them in turn because I was offended.
Mm,
They were offended that I was offended, which I get, but let's say I
right,
commissioned you to do a portrait, right? It's a family portrait, very personal. It's not like you're going to be selling prints of it.
right.
It's just for me, and the original will always be just for me. But I hire you to paint it, and we agree to a price, and I give you half up front. Now you're done with the painting, and I have no complaints with the painting. I love it. I think it's great, but I don't want to pay the other half. I want you to give me a discount because it took you so long, even though I never gave you a deadline.
Oh shit.
That's offensive, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd be offended.
Okay. Because
Straight up.
I was like, am I a priss? Am I a spoiled priss? Like, I don't want to give you a discount because it took 5 months when you told me you don't care if it takes 5 months. Like, if you needed it in 3 months, I would have put that into account when I did my things over the course of time since we started this. Like, I would have made it a priority when I didn't make it a priority because there was no deadline. Like, I would have done that for you. But you didn't give me a deadline. And I tried as a courtesy to get it done twice by two deadlines I gave myself and failed. So she took that and said, because you failed to meet your deadlines you came up with, I want a discount.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'd be slightly offended, yo.
I was offended. And I said, fine, I don't want your money. And then she said, well, then I don't want the painting because I don't want to be the kind of person that takes your work without paying for it. She threw that card out after telling me she didn't want to pay the other half. So there was that. That happened last week.
Yeah, that's about dirty. Oh, one sec. It's not pulling this up. I gotta check.
Okay.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, my squirrel texted and it pop up on the other one. My son just messaged his Snapchat, got 107,000 views.
What?
His Snapchat got 107,000 views on something he did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I think he's going to call here in a few, and we're actually about the 45-minute mark. I think we did for a first run for a bit. I friggin' love this, the vibe, and the whole roll with it.
Yeah, man, I feel
Appreciate the
like we
hell out of
did
doing it.
good. And
I do
it's
too.
about a good time to call it quits.
Yeah, well, I mean, highest I saw too was 16, so that's beautiful. And yeah, if you want, we'll wrap here. I'll jump over to Discord, talk to you there, and then I'll figure out what's going on with him. So love your face, and we'll figure out maybe doing this again if you want here in a bit or what the strategy is.
Sounds good, man.
Much love. See you in a few.
All
Thank
right.
you all
Bye.
for watching.